What is up, guys? Rick, still on that Baby Yoda hype train. Kackis here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we're going to be taking a look at some exotic armor in Destiny 2 that's going to be getting so much better next season. Now, why is that? Well, one of the most exciting things coming with Season of Dawn is the fact that the Solar Subclasses are getting some substantial changes. We're talking entirely new melee abilities, reworked perks, in some cases totally new perks, and overall big buffs. And obviously, that means that some of the exotic armor that affects those solar subclasses, if they're getting better, that armor is also getting better. So these are some of the things that you should keep an eye on next season. If Xur is selling any of these and you don't have it, definitely consider picking it up. And so, let's get started. By the way, if you want a comprehensive overview of all of the changes to these subclasses, please check the video linked up above. In this video, we're going to be going over the specific buffs that will be affecting certain exotics, but not necessarily all of the buffs. But I digress. Let's start here with the Warlock, and the first thing that I think is really going to be meta is the SUNBRACERS exotic gauntlets. Now, these say they have the intrinsic perk Helium Spirals. Increase the duration of solar grenades. Solar melee kills grant unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time, and you will see that in the background gameplay. I get a melee kill, and I'm just yeeting out grenades like you wouldn't believe. Now, the funny thing is, the SUNBRACERS already got a huge buff with the introduction of the Monte Carlo exotic auto rifle. That is going to let you have your melee ability up so much more often than pretty much anything else in the game, which means way more melee kills, which means way more grenade spam way more often. But specifically with these buffs, it's the introduction of the new melee ability, Celestial Fire, to the top tree, Dawnblade. It says, send a spiral of 3 explosive solar projectiles. So, this sounds like a melee ability with some extreme long-range potential. Right now, the melees for Dawnblade are just hitting an enemy point-blank range and kind of lighting them on fire. This is going to add a degree of utility, allowing you to shoot those missiles from very far away, and specifically with the top tree from above while hovering airborne. And that is going to really make it much more likely and much more easy to be getting those melee kills, especially in PvP. You could potentially weaken enemies with your gun, finish them off with the melee. If the explosive radius is big enough, you can hit people from behind corners, behind cover, and stuff like that. So if that melee is good, the Sunbreakers go along with it in becoming so much better. And in fact, it really lets you do what you want to be doing with the SUNBRACERS, which is just chucking grenades from a distance. This is going to let you melee from a distance as well, not have to run into enemies, get a melee kill, get back out of enemies so you don't kill yourself with those grenades, and then start spamming grenades. It just makes it all in one. You're at a distance, spamming melee, spamming grenades, back to melee, back to grenades. It's going to be insane. But it is time to move on to the next Warlock exotic, and this is continuing with the trend of that brand new melee ability, and that is the Claws of AHAMKARA. These exotic gauntlets have the intrinsic perk, the Whispers, gain an additional melee charge. So, if that new melee ability is powerful, and it certainly sounds powerful, these are especially going to become a much more viable option in PvP. Imagine being airborne and having 2 basically fireballs you can shoot down on opponents that are unsuspecting on the ground, especially now that melees are 2-hit kills. And things could get even more insane when you consider that we're going to be getting a whole new seasonal artifact with seasonal mods, and since solar is one of the featured elements next season with all these changes, we're likely going to be getting mods that improve solar melees and or solar abilities. Imagine a solar version of Thundercoil with this new fireball melee with the Claws of AHAMKARA giving you 2. That's insane. Now, continuing on from there, the next Warlock exotic we're looking at is the Wings of Sacred Dawn exotic chest armor. These have the unique perk Tome of Dawn. When Dawnblade is equipped, aiming weapons while you're in midair suspends you there for a short time. Weapon hits extend this effect's duration. Now there's no speculation involved, although of course, if Top Tree Dawnblade, which is getting most of the buffs, is getting better, an exotic that synergizes with that will obviously get better as well. But importantly, they actually do say in the patch notes that now with Season of Dawn, when Tome of Dawn is active for this exotic, you're going to get a 15% damage reduction buff. So you're just going to be 15% harder to kill, and that is something that you cannot ignore. That's potentially going to swing gunfights in your favor. That's a big deal, and of course, that is just a pure improvement for this exotic. Alright, now moving on from there, we have the Hunter. What exotics are getting better for it? Well, first off, we have the OPHIDIA SPATHE exotic chest armor. This has the perk Scissor Fingers, grants 2 knives per charge. Now, right now, it's kind of fun, but it doesn't have that much utility. This is on the list again because of a drastic change to a melee ability. Specifically for the Hunter, it's getting the brand new melee ability, Weighted Knife. High damage knife throw with a long windup, travels at high speeds, bounces once, and does extra damage to the head. Precision shot final blows recharge the melee completely. 1 hit precision final blow in PvP. Okay, hold on a second. So, you're going from, right now, the normal throwing knives, which again, see some play, have some utility, but aren't that incredibly powerful, to a 1-hit kill knife. That is a drastic increase in power. That is a huge amount of extra utility and extra killing power. So, you have the OPHIDIA SPATHE, and next season, it's going to be giving you 2 of those 1-hit kill knives. Yeah, that's a big deal. Let's not forget that although this will of course be potentially insane in PvP, that PvE isn't also a factor. If that knife is really doing a substantial amount of damage, if you can 1-hit kill a yellow bar knight, for example, with a headshot, wait a second, that's a whole bunch of utility in PvE as well, and you could see things like this gaining momentum in that part of the game too, but that is again definitely something to keep an eye on. But we've got to move on from there to another exotic chest piece for the Hunter, the Dragon's Shadow. This has the unique perk Wraith Metal Mail. Dodging reloads all weapons and increases both movement and weapon handling speeds for a brief time. Now, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this exotic right now. If you're an extremely high-level comp, you're an extremely good player that can make the most of that movement speed benefit, all of that stuff, yes, it has some utility, but the majority of players out there are not really going to see that much of a benefit. But the important part is that this will reload your weapons when you dodge. Okay, that's already in the game in the form of Marksman's Dodge, right? So you are able to use this exotic and then switch off of Marksman's Dodge to Gambler's Dodge. Gambler's Dodge giving you your melee ability back faster, so you can use both of those at the same time. You use the Dragon's Shadow to recharge your weapons when you dodge, and then you have Marksman's Dodge on to get your melee back. And of course, if you're getting your melee back much more often, then you are benefiting from that instant kill knife that we talked about earlier. The Dragon's Shadow is a great example of an exotic that's going to let you get that knife so much more often if it ends up being a really powerful ability next season, but it's not going as all in as the OPHIDIA SPATHE, for example. It's still giving you other utilities to other parts of your build. Okay, now moving on from there, one more exotic we're going to look at, and it's a weird one, bear with me. It's the Lucky Pants exotic leg armor. This has the unique perk Illegally Modded Holster. Precision hits load 1 round to the chamber of stowed hand cannons. Hand cannons ready faster and are more accurate immediately after swapping to them. So this has been one of the worst hunter exotics for a long time. It was definitely designed in an era of double primaries, but it is undoubtedly getting better, and that is thanks to a new Season of Dawn perk, and that is Knock 'em Down. Precision final blows increase weapon stability and aim down sight speed. Timer starts at 10 seconds, but any additional blow or assist can increase it up to 25 seconds. Casting your super with this buff above 20 seconds consumes the buff and grants extra damage with your super. It doesn't stack with a Celestial Nighthawk. So that is a perk clearly built around precision final blows. And the lucky pants are going to benefit you for getting precision hits. So imagine just using a hand cannon. So many of those hits and final blows are going to be precision. That's going to be activating your lucky pants and activating the Knock 'em Down perk. Now normally this combo wouldn't go anything because you'd have to be using double primaries. But because of the Ariana's Vow exotic hand cannon, which is a hand cannon, but it's a special weapon doing a ton of damage per shot, actually pretty usable in both PvP and PvE, suddenly using something like the Spare Rations and the Vow and the Lucky Pants, which is also going to be benefiting massively from that Knock 'em Down perk, making it super quick to swap and aim down sights for your Vow, get that shot off way faster than people are expecting. That might actually be a pretty legit combo coming next season. In any event, it is time to move on to the Titan, and this has actually quite a lot of exotics that are very good with the changes. And firstly, we have the SYNTHOCEPS. Now, these have the intrinsic perk Biotic Enhancements, increased melee lunge range, improved melee and super damage when you're surrounded. Now, the specific tree being buffed is the middle tree, and that is not going to benefit from melee range because you're throwing a hammer and that doesn't really matter. So, what we're really looking at here is the improved melee and super damage when you're surrounded, because when you are in that middle tree and you're using Burning Maul, there has been a huge buff specifically to the light attack. As you can see here, the Burning Maul duration increased by around 7 seconds. That's already very good. But the light attack, they reduced light attack energy cost from 5% down to 3% and adjusted the animation so that it flows seamlessly into chained light attacks without stopping. So that means that when you're in Burning Maul and you're just spinning around a target and hitting them again and again super fast. Well, if that is way more efficient, the SYNTHOCEPS are going to benefit that even more because you're in the fray, you're spinning around on a boss, you're probably surrounded. It's actually pretty easy to get the surrounded benefit, and therefore you're going to be doing even more damage for this already buffed super. So if the spinning attack truly becomes something that's very good for taking down bosses, strike bosses, stuff like that, the SYNTHOCEPS could really be a key part of the combo of just getting even more damage out of that super. But next up, we have the WORMGOD Caress exotic gauntlets. These have the perk Burning Fists. Melee kills increase melee damage for a period of time. Additional kills extend the duration and increase effects. So, you go on a melee spree, the WORMGOD Caress is going to benefit you greatly. Now, this is an absolute wombo combo with the buffs to Throwing Hammer specifically for Burning Maul. So, Throwing Hammer, increased impact damage from 100 to 120, and increased hammer pickup radius from 2 meters to 3.5 meters. Adjusted hammer throw animations to fit a more damaging attack. But that's not all. There's also a significant buff to the duration of Roaring Flames, which triggers when you get a kill with a solar ability, in this case, Throwing Hammer. So they increased the damage bonus from 10% per stack to 25% per stack in PvP, and increased duration from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. So both those things, a pure buff to Throwing Hammer and a buff to Roaring Flames, goes into making chaining Throwing Hammers much easier in PvP. Well, the WORMGOD Caress is going to benefit that in and of itself, making it even more powerful for chaining melee abilities, and it's just going to make the throwing hammer much easier to become a one-hit kill in PvP and in PvE as well. If you want to chain the crap out of throwing hammers, the WORMGOD Caress is absolutely going to let you do that. And moving on from there, keeping those abilities and buffs in mind, we have the Heart of INMOST Light exotic chest. Now this has the intrinsic perk Overflowing Light. Using an ability, Grenade, Melee, or Barricade, empowers the other two abilities. Empowered means abilities have faster regen, melees and grenades do more damage, and barricades have more hit points. So, if you're planning on chaining throwing hammers, which again have gotten a massive buff next season, and you are just killing an enemy, getting back your throwing hammers, killing an enemy, getting it back, killing another enemy, getting it back, all the while, if you're using the Heart of INMOST Light, you're going to be massively buffing your grenades. So doing that is going to let you throw grenades more often. And those grenades, you don't just get to throw more often, they're empowered. They're going to do more damage than usual. They're going to be even more deadly than usual. And that sounds very powerful to me. But it is time to move on to the last exotic we're going to be looking at today, and that is the HALLOWFIRE Heart exotic chest armor. This has the unique perk Sunfire Furnace. Improves the recharge rate of your solar abilities. Greatly improves recharge rate while your super is charged. So this could be another great option to throw on if you're in PvP or even in PvE and doing the throwing hammer combo and you're just using your throwing hammer a ton. This is going to make it so that if you die or something goes wrong and you lose your throwing hammer and it has to recharge, well, the HALLOWFIRE Heart is going to make it recharge super quickly if you have your supercharged, and going to let you get back to chaining throwing hammers pretty darn quickly. And so guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.